project at the Gables, but I think maybe I'll give a little background on the need for the service, regardless of where it's operating first. So we as a community, Johnsonville or Janesville or Susanville or Lassen County, we as a community have mental health issues. We have individuals in our community that fall on it. There's a spectrum of mental health, and believe me, I'm not an expert in this aspect of it, but people that fall, in the lower middle range of mental health that maybe they're a veteran, maybe they've suffered some sort of trauma or some other thing that kind of keeps them from being mainstream. Maybe they have trouble sleeping indoors for periods of time. Maybe they have other issues. But if they're provided with some structure and maybe some guidance and a little bit of help, they can function very normally. And so the reason the county gets involved in this is, of course, it's the county's responsibility. It's our responsibility as a community to care for these people, in a lot of ways, and a lot of regulations that come down from the state and others. And sometimes we care for those people when they show up at the emergency room for some event that's occurred, or through the judicial system because they've done something. And there's a school of thought that, and I happen to subscribe to it, that in some ways, regardless of your perspective on the way to deal with these people, that it's cheaper for all of us and better outcomes for them to try to deal with the issue by providing some structure for them and keeping them out of those more expensive avenues of treatment, for lack of a better word. So anyway, that's kind of the background on the issue. We as a county have this issue with, and it's not a huge population of clients with these needs, but there is certainly there, and it's perennial. It's not unique to us or Lassen County or California or the country. So anyway, having said that, we have an organization who has come to us. It's a religious organization, and I may get the name slightly wrong here, but it's the Catholic Services of Northern Sacramento Valley, I think, or something like that, who has successfully done several projects where they, in the North State, where they take these people and provide them with some structure, and it's actually kind of it's not a one-size-fits-all. And some people need a lot of structure, some are almost completely independent. But at any rate, they have operated these facilities all over the North State, and and us having the need, they being in the business of doing that, I'm not sure who contacted who in our staff. If they came to us, we went to them, or what have you. But the idea was formed that perhaps we could put something like this together in Lassen County to address some of our clients, which currently maybe we're placing them out of the county, or maybe their just needs are not being met. So that was kind of the genesis of this idea. The site of the Gables came about primarily because of one programmatic thing, and I'll go back a little further to discuss the fiscal side of this a little bit. In 1993-94, Lassen County obtained a grant, and we refer to it as a home grant. Was a grant from the state CDBG department, but initially from the federal money from HUD, Housing and Urban Development. And that grant was to build some low-income homes to provide low-income housing in Beaver, Doyle, and Westwood. And so I think there were a total of 12, maybe there were 16 homes that were built total. And those were sold to low-income residents who in turn repaid those. The county loaned the money, built the homes, and those people repaid most of that money into a fund. So anyway, that fund has grown in excess of about $1.5 million. So being that that was a HUD grant through the home program, it comes with a great number of strings attached. Very limited uses for that money and limited geography for where it can be used. So, and the geography is what I'm going to focus on a little bit. The geography where that can be used is the unincorporated area of the county. So it can be used within the city of Susanville, which is the only incorporated area. So one of the allowable uses for these funds is to do a project like this mental health project. And so, and it takes some level of incentive in order to induce someone to do a project like this. It's not something that somebody goes out and as a profit venture. So anyway, that was the idea. So we've kind of limited to where we've got this clientele, which are largely centered around the urban area, which is Susanville. And we've got this restriction that we can't use this money inside the city limits of Susanville. So it really limits the area that it can be used to, the periphery of Susanville. Thus the Gables, very close to town, or relatively close to town, yet not within the city limits. So that's one idea. Now, the county's continuing to look at other sites. The idea for the Gables is really in its infancy, and the item that is on the agenda for next Tuesday at the Board of Supervisors meeting, which I'd invite you all to come and comment, is to hire someone to explore the issues associated with using that as a site, which there would be many. Not an exhaustive list, but it's in an area that may flood. It's near a school. It's even though it's only a couple miles from town, it's a couple miles from town, which people that don't drive, that's a barrier. So there's a lot of issues that would be involved with whether or not that site is a site that could be used for that. So one other issue that I failed to mention about the reason for keeping this facility local is that the outcomes are much better when these individuals have whatever support structure they have, and in a lot of cases it's very limited. But to the extent that they have a support structure, if it can be maintained in their own area, then the outcomes are much better. And so that's why, simply trying to ship these people out of the area or something really isn't that effective because it just doesn't work. But, I'm happy to try to address any questions. I do think, however, that to the extent that you all can do so, there's probably going to be a much better staff report and discussion at the Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday, where the full staff will be there to discuss this issue. But I'm happy to try to address questions that I can.
You forgot one of the biggest problems with that place. One is the traffic. You can't walk from there to Johnsonville store. These people are going to walk. It wouldn't be like Crossroads. They're going to be everywhere. Is that right? I'm not sure. Well, that road doesn't have any sidewalk. It doesn't have nowhere to walk. And that's the busiest damn road around here.
Well, a couple things. One, it's not the busiest road around.
Well, it joins up with the busiest road.
Two, I wouldn't compare this to a Crossroads situation where you have people, loitering.
The last place that opened up, those people were running all over the field. They were everywhere.
And I'm not familiar with the last.
The last one, they had a bunch of wayward kids in there.
That was a restaurant the last time I was there.
But they had wayward kids in there for a while.
Okay.
And they were all over the field.
Yeah.
Stealing, all kinds of stuff.
How many people are we talking about?
11. Yeah, I think it's a total of 11 individuals.
She stated at the meeting it was 11 and it will be up to 20.
But potentially with the cabins around the outside for the independent types. Yeah, that's true. There's no perfect place for a facility like this. I think we just start with that basis, and we have to evaluate. Where's the best place?
There's a 2-acre parcel right behind the Veterans Hospital where the medical facility, buy that and build it.
Right, it's in the
Right
city,
there.
Can't be in the city.
it's in the city.
No, it's not, actually, I looked at the city, it goes right behind the city, the line goes behind those parcels.
The county boundary is skyline until you get to Johnsonville Road.
Annex it back into the county, because it used to be the county, you can do that.
I have a question. When this is, if and when this all goes in, is it considered a nonprofit?
The organization, you know, as it's proposed now, the organization is the, and I'll get the name wrong again, but the North Valley
That's okay.
Catholic organization, and I do believe they are a nonprofit organization.
Okay, because I want to use something as an example. 'Cause I'm the chair at Lassen Family Services on
Sure.
the board. And just recently, and I was talking to Penny Arts also, because the senior numbers have grown. You'd be shocked at the numbers of seniors now compared to just several years ago. We've got a new director that's been at Lassen Family Services now for, I think, 4 months. Our active cases have gone from 40 a month to 90 a month. And we're nonprofit, and we're trying to handle those. We're having employee burnout, we're having all kinds of issues. And, you know, the reason I'm pointing that out, you're gonna have the same thing with that.
Well,
You know, as we grow, everything else grows. And the bottom line is the bottom line. When you run out of money, you run out of money.
I hear what you're saying. The fact though is with this particular clientele, we're experiencing the cost already. The county is already experiencing the cost, and it probably would be cheaper, this sort of effort, rather than, you know, placing them out of county.
That's why I use Lassen Family Services as an example, because the same thing falls there. It's already an expense to the county. It was before we were ever active. And I just see a lot, you know, I've been with that organization quite a few years now, and I just see a huge growth trend, and it's not in the plus way.
Well, I think the demographics are
Yeah.
what they are.
I'm sure. And that's
They are
going to happen with that too, so.
Just, somebody else raise their hand over there?
Well, yeah, but I'll flip a coin for you.
Well,
Go
what I
ahead.
was curious about is just, the Gables place. Is that group that you're speaking of, are they leasing the property, or are they utilizing the grant to purchase the property?
The details of that have not been worked out yet. It is likely that the home funds that I mentioned are roughly $1 million or $1.2 million of those, in addition to some of the North Valley Catholic organization's funds, would be used to purchase and remodel the facility. In what proportion, I don't
So the
know.
nonprofit will own the facility?
Absolutely, the county would not own the facility. The county would be somewhat of a customer of the facility, because these clients that are there are being paid for.
Is there gonna be supervision toward these people, or are they just gonna be dropped off there and
Oh,
walk their own?
it would be highly supervised. One of the ideas of this facility is that there would be, you know, group sessions and people there to provide structure to the lives of these individuals. So yes.
Whether the Gables is used or another property, is this going to be a licensed residential care facility, licensed by the state?
You know, I'm not trying to dodge the question.
Okay.
I just don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Because there's a significant difference between unlicensed and
Yeah,
licensed, as far as accountability regulations, Title 22.
I believe it would be, but that's not
It
my...
makes a big difference, just for fun of it.
Sure. Anything else?
You know, I've, pardon me, lived here for over 65 years, and granted it hasn't happened very often, but I have seen more than 12, 14 inches of water on both sides of that bridge.
Yeah.
I've seen it right underneath the bottom of it.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
a wet year, and believe me, it'll happen again.
That is certainly an
Many
issue
times.
that would be dealt with in this study. I've seen it too. I've seen it in, what, 97, and the floods. I mean, it does happen. I think there's probably ways to, to one, mitigate that.
Isn't that considered a floodplain through there?
Oh, sure, it'll be considered, and means of mitigating or insuring around that would have to be dealt with. Yes.
I have two questions there. One, why isn't the mental health here to answer some of these questions for us?
Because it didn't.
Yeah, well,
You
no,
can't answer the question.
the purpose of this meeting isn't to have a discussion about the Grange. We've got an agenda item on the Board of Supervisors meeting next Tuesday, where we'll have a full staff there. I think Mr. Hemphill wanted to, address this issue, but really not focus this meeting on the Gables facility because it is so premature.
Well, when I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting, they asked us to utilize this meeting for that project.
They discussed having a special meeting to address that, not necessarily this town hall meeting.
Well, because they said that he was having a town hall meeting, that us neighbors could come and discuss this with them. So, and I was understanding when I went to that meeting, that the mental health people would be attending so they could further answer questions. Because we couldn't ask all of our questions, there was only just a handful of us there.
Sure.
And then my second question is, they stated at the meeting that they've already done a feasibility study. Are they gonna do an environmental impact study also?
Part of the analysis that's, the question of the debate on Tuesday will be to determine, what level of environmental analysis needs to be done. It's not a simple question as far as, do you do an environmental analysis or do you not do an environmental analysis? There's various levels in between. So that question hasn't been answered yet.
Okay, and the other question, how many here can attend that meeting at 9 o'clock on Tuesday?
I can't answer that question.
No, I want to see it, show of hands, how many of us can make it there on Tuesday at 9 in the morning?
Well, it's 10:30 time certain,
Well,
the
10:30,
the agenda come out
We
today, I
have
was
to
gonna
be
announce
there
that.
early, right?
Pardon?
Don't we have to show up early to be counted in? To be
To
able to see?
No.
be able to.
No.
And I suggest that you come to the meeting, but that's certainly not the only way that you can express your views or get questions answered. My email is regan@co.lassen.ca.us. And,
Let's address something else here.
sure.
What we're voting on Tuesday, and I'm gonna vote no, because it's voting on, spend $25,000 to do a study. Well, I think this meeting we're having here tonight doesn't cost the county anything. It's just time, and we all have that. And I think the county approached this wrong. They should have had a few of these meetings beforehand, and we wouldn't be here tonight having this discussion, and we won't have it on Tuesday. Now, Tuesday, if the Board of Supervisors votes no on having this study, where does that go?
Well, then, if that happens, and I expect that's a very good possibility, then I suspect that the board would give direction to staff to, maybe explore other areas of the county, which we have done but continue to do, or to explore other funding sources to try to place this in the city. I don't want to predict what the board's going to suggest, but I think those are two maybe likely alternatives.
And if they vote yes?
Well, if they vote yes on the feasibility study, then the feasibility study will be conducted.
And then we're notified if,
That will involve public hearings, public meetings, a lot of outreach and analysis of that particular site.
sorry, another one. You said we're in the infancy stages. Hasn't this been on the agenda for a year and a half?
The idea has been floated for, about a year. That's infancy for county.
18 months ago, from what she said, she went to the school board and discussed it 18 months ago, but none of us were told about it, especially us neighbors who would be impacted by it.
Right,
And we've had 3 principals since then.
yeah.
So, none of us parents who has children there would have ever known what was going on.
Right, and here we are, and this is the time. It's right to discuss the issue.
Just curious, does Blackson County get release of liability when, even though Blackson County may be utilizing or would be utilizing the facility, it's under another jurisdiction, it's the church business?
With regard to when the county's placing clients in, is that what you're?
Yeah, the clients.
There would be a contractual relationship with that entity from the county to that entity, and it would address liability issues and loss issues.
So county's not in control of it, it's the other group that's in control of the, Blackson County basically is voting in whether or not, it can happen, it can work there. But the liability of the people that are in there, county's putting them in, right? Is that what I understand?
Yes.
So there would be a release of liability to put them into the other nonprofit organizations?
Well, liability from who? I guess I don't understand your question.
Well, just from the people that are in there. I mean, anything might happen to them, or on that street, or on that road, or whatever might happen, Lassen County would be not held accountable, I guess, since they were in another person's responsibility.
Well,
You see what I'm talking about?
anybody can sue anyone for anything
Oh, I
at any
know.
time.
The guy
So,
knows about that, yeah.
I have one more question, because we're always talking about growth for the economy and stuff. How many actual jobs, if and when this did happen anywhere in Lassen County, how many jobs would that create?
again, it would be a private entity that would be hiring those jobs. I don't have a number. There would be, I know, an on-site manager, there would be clinicians, and those types of staff, but I don't have a number. That hasn't been developed yet. It's not, it certainly, I think, would have a positive economic benefit, but that's not the reason that it's
Right.
being contemplated.
But we're always talking about growth, so.
Sure.
Before we get too far ahead, I want to go back and have some clarification on the Chico feasibility study done in 2014 and was presented in December 2014 by the Chico group. Is this now, the vote tomorrow or next on the 10th is for an additional $25,000 to
Yes.
complete the contract with that group?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Michelle.
So, reading about the mental health halfway houses, they're not a secure facility. So these people can come and go, right?
These people are not incarcerated. Let me
Right.
make that really clear.
Well,
These
that's
are,
what I'm saying. So if they decide they don't want to stay there, they can just wander off.
these people are not the subject of any custody currently. They're not, wherever they are now, they're not in a secure environment, whether that be on the river or wherever it is. So no, it's not a custody environment.
I have a couple questions. One is, you said that it would be a highly secure or highly staffed place. What do you mean by that? What is highly?
I think what I said is that there would be a high level of structure for these individuals.
Someone asked if they were going to be monitored, and you said it would be highly monitored.
Yeah,
What
there.
does highly monitored mean?
Again, I'm not the mental health professional, I'm the manager. That's unique to individuals. Some require very little supervision or
So
none.
one person on staff, two people on staff?
Well, I know there would be an on-site manager,
Okay.
and I know there would be clinicians. I think that would probably be dependent upon what the individual clients are.
So
And
we're not
that's,
sure.
what was that?
So we're not sure.
No, and I don't think, and to be fair, I don't know that we would even know, if the project goes in, we don't know exactly what the clientele is going to be or is going to evolve to, and that staffing, may or may not change based on that, so.
So along those lines, you said that we have this problem in Knox County. Do we have a statistic of how many individuals we have in our county right now? And would this facility only treat Lassen County residents, or would others come in from other counties?
Those are really good questions that would be answered through the study. I don't have the answer to that yet. Yes.
Is
this only gonna be to existing, that's the kind of residents that are going in there, or this is a for money group? I mean, the whole thing is about money. So are they gonna start bringing people in from out of area to fill it? Or is this just for local people to use?
Yeah, I'll try to answer that again. The purpose for
And can you get that in writing from them?
the, again, let's realize that we're dealing with an independent third party here that's providing service. This is not somebody that the county would directly control, although we would have a lot of influence because we'd be their main customer, so to speak. The intent is to deal with a local problem. It's not to import.
So they'll be bringing people from LA, the area, wherever, to fill it. I mean, that's all about.
That's certainly not the intent of the program. Those issues should be addressed through a feasibility analysis of the study.
What possibility is there?
The sky's the limit right now. I mean, this is something that is a conceptual idea.
So we don't have any statistics on what is in Austin County